Attaboy's crap. While we were back there, there was a French guy that got stuck in the mud.
And
My favorite part.
welcome to episode number 3 of the Epic Family Road Trip. This week we are down in Rotorua. We had an amazing summer with really good weather, but it's fall now, and so we hit some rain, so we got hunkered down in a cabin, and then as soon as the rain stopped, we pulled out our bikes and hit the trails. In Rotorua, there's a section called the Redwoods. These are actual California redwoods that were donated by the state of California back in the early 1900s. They're not as big as the redwoods that you'd see driving through the Avenue of Giants, but they're getting big. These trees were brought in from California for their potential lumber value, but when they grew here, they grew a lot quicker than they do in California, partially because of the weather, the climate, the rain, and also the volcanic soil. And what happened is they grow so fast that the wood is extremely soft, so it had no value for lumber here. So we're left with just a beautiful redwood forest, which is very, very nice. We also had the amazing opportunity to do a canopy walk. That allowed us to get off the ground, think about the huge redwoods, of course, and how they got there and how they come from the tiniest of small seeds. But also it was neat to see all the other native plants like the ferns, which is, the silver fern is the national plant of New Zealand. All the different palm trees that are growing up amongst the redwoods, which is different from Northern California. So that part was really neat and educational, and it was a nice little field trip for our road school.
Busy preparing our Jeep for its journey back home.
We're flying back on the 15th, and we had to ship a week before we fly, or 10 days before we fly. If there's no storms or other delays, it takes about 18 days to cross the Pacific. And we are going to be flying into Toronto and then driving across to the West Coast and picking up the Jeep out there. So the timing should be just about right. It should arrive around May 28th. So that was quite the job. We had to make sure everything was dried out because it's going to be in a container for a month almost, and we had all that rain. So we spent time drying everything out and then sorting what things we're going to need for this leg of our journey and what things we could ship back. So we shipped back our bikes, surfboards, all of our sport gear, and a whole bunch of our clothing that we're not going to need. We are now staying in a hotel in Auckland and using the time to get caught up on homework. But this week we're also spending some time training our bodies to get ready for some hiking, because we're going out to the Pacific Northwest and there's all kinds of awesome mountains out there to climb. So it was kind of bittersweet shipping the Jeep. It seemed like it went so fast. We've been living in the Jeep for at least 4 months. We've been here for 6 months, including Australia and Bali. But it's hard to believe that it's already going back across the ocean. But man, was it ever nice to have it here. You know, the other option, when most people come to New Zealand, they rent a caravan or a van or a motorhome. We decided to ship our Jeep because of the length we were here. It made sense, but we really were happy we did so because A, we got to live in it. We had our bikes and all our equipment and our kitchen and everything that we're familiar with, so we felt like we're at home. But also we got to do a lot more things and go a lot more places off the road and off the trail that you wouldn't be able to go with the standard motorhome. So one of my favorite things to do with the Jeep, and I'm glad we brought it, was that we got to get off the road, off the trail, way back into a DOC camping. DOC is the Department of Conservation, and they have these kind of wilderness camp areas. We were able to drive in there and set up camp right by a river called the Eglinton River, which is a really nice trout river, and wake up early in the morning and go fly fishing. I didn't catch anything but a cold, but I had a lot of fun. What was some of your favorite highlights with the Jeep?
My favorite time with the Jeep was when my dad let me drive it on the 90-mile beach. And you can drive on it when the tide is out for 90 miles, right to the end. When you drive to the end of the beach, you're in Cape Reinga, which is the northernmost part of New Zealand. And there's massive sand dunes and crazy ocean scenery where two oceans meet, and there's huge currents and waves and things. It's a really awesome thing to see. We also had the opportunity to go sandboarding on the massive dunes, which was really fun.
My favorite time with the Jeep was driving at Shipwreck Bay on the rocks. It was really rough back there, but the Jeep could handle it no problem. When we drove around the point, we came across a van stuck in the mud, and we used our winch to pull him out.
There were so many places that I fell in love with, and I think all of us could say that we all fell in love with. So there's not really one spot that's my favorite. All
It's hard
of
to
them are.
pick a favorite, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
And each one was special and unique.
One of my favorite parts of the whole entire trip, especially with the Jeep, was in Mount Cook National Park. It was extremely beautiful, but it was really fun when we got to go off-road because we were surrounded by all the mountains, and I got to chase the Jeep with the camera, trying to get the best shots, but it was also just really fun riding on the roof rack and seeing all the mountains.